Worst case, can never survive scenario, we lose $5 million. The jury comes back, it was a little off. We lost $40 million, not $5 million.
The following mini message is an excerpt from James McPartland's TV show Unopened Gifts, aired on HaveItTV.com.
So a lot of what you're going to hear from Brian, resonant in his story, is the concept or the distinction, or let me say the difference, between playing not to lose and playing to win. Brian chose, against odds, as you'll hear time and time again in this program, to fight on, to play to win, not play not to lose, which would have been the easy way out. Brian practices a formula I call the until formula. Now, the simple version of the until formula has to do with children. How long would you give the average baby until that baby learned to walk? Now, most of us wouldn't say, well, look, you had a couple shots at it, didn't work, sorry, you don't get to walk. You keep practicing with that child keeps practicing until that child learns to walk. Brian's commitment, and that's the big thing here, his vision and his belief in himself and his dream is what drove him. And he took the until formula. Until we can get financing, and until we can develop clients, and until we can build a business team, until we can go out into the marketplace, I'm committed to it. And the thing about Brian's story, which really sings to me, is even when everything seems to be lost, you probably have one more move. Also, Brian's a man of integrity. He was very transparent and very honest with people throughout this ordeal. Now listen, people were scared. The original financiers were saying, I don't know if we can give you money. But people bought into Brian's dream and his vision. And the fact that he said, look, we've had this setback, we had this loss, it might not go our way, but we're committed to this. You know, people buy people, and people buy Brian, and people buy Dave, and they buy Joby, and now his agency, or they wouldn't be where they are in the world if they weren't honest, if they didn't have authenticity, and if they didn't have integrity. What Brian's given us is the gift of determination, of honesty, and as I say, integrity. And you know, I'd say maybe I could just encapsulate it in the gift of truth. The great thing about what Brian gives us, by virtue of this truth, is if you tell the truth, you don't have to have a great memory. If you're authentic about who you are and what you want, people will gravitate towards you. And if you persevere, if you're committed, and if you use your gifts, you can find a way.
What I tell every new person that's interested in Athletes First is, you know, our history dictates that we're different than any other sports agency out there, because no other sports agency has ever gone through what we went through. And if they did, they wouldn't endure it. They wouldn't survive. That experience makes us completely different in terms of loyalty and, you know, stick-togetherness and pride in Athletes First and pride in doing things the right way. So, unbelievable unopened gift that we never really wanted to know we have, you know, but we had to find out. And so, you know, going back to the beginning, right before I got to Steinberg, Murat and Dunn, they had sold their company to a Canadian corporation, public corporation called Asante. And Asante had spent a lot of money, $100 million plus, buying Steinberg, Murat and Dunn. And then they went and they purchased a lot of other agencies under our direction. And so they probably spent about $500 million on purchasing different sports agencies. And they were building a dynasty similar to an IMG model or a SFX model at the time. And so when Dave and I left, and then the employees followed us, and then inevitably, you know, probably 70–80% of the clients followed us as well, the Canadian corporation was pretty upset that all these assets and revenues that they just purchased had just walked out the door. And they were afraid that the same thing would happen to all the other agencies that they purchased. And so what they told us is, whether you're right or whether you're wrong, we need to make an example of you, because we can't have the number 2 guy leaving all the different agencies and all the clients following them. They just, as they said, they had to pick at our financial carcass. That's exactly what their general counsel said to us. And so they sued us in federal court, they sued us in state court, they sued myself, they sued Dave's assistant, they sued Dave. And at the end of the day, they spent $18 million in legal fees trying to destroy us. That was all they wanted to do, was destroy us. We didn't have any money. We didn't have any, you know, I was a lawyer, Dave was a lawyer, Joby Brandon, our other partner, was a lawyer, but we weren't equipped to you know, fight that type of battle. So we had to, you know, find some money quickly. And similar to my interview process, we met with 100, 150, 200 different people who, oh, you guys are sports agents and you represent Drew Bledsoe and John Lynch. yeah, let's meet. You know, we sit down, we meet, we tell them our story, we show them our projected financials, which were pretty much made up because we had no idea what was going to happen. Then they say, wow, we wish you luck. It's a great story, and we think you're going to do well, but we're not going to invest because obviously you're being sued, and all the money we're going to give you is going to go to litigation. If you lose litigation, we just burn our money, you know. And so time and time and time this happened, and we just need to find, you know, money. And we ended up meeting with Tom Gores of Platinum Equity up in LA through a friend of Joby's, Lawrence Antoine. And we sat down with Tom Gores, who has an extremely successful business. And we told him our story, and we told him, you know, our hardships, and we told him what battle was going through. And he said, I love it. You know, you guys are up against all odds. I'll give you the money you need, and just work out the details with Lawrence, and there you go. It was that easy, like that. So we were able to get some finances, and which allowed us to hire some attorneys. And for years and years, we fought and we fought and we fought. And so while half our company was out trying to run our business and doing a great job of it, the other half was, you know, in court, in mediations, in arbitrations. And I'm watching the trial unfold, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, we are terrible people. Like we're horrible. Like, one, not only do I look fat on my deposition video, but like I can't believe what bad people were, because the other side, with all the technology and all their stories, and they're able to parse pieces of, you know, mine was a 12, 14, 15-day deposition. They just told this story that was so far from reality, but sounded great. And so trial ended, and jury went to deliberate, and the jury came back with deliberations, and we had this war room in our office, and I said, okay, here's the different scenarios. We win, we lose, you know, $250,000. In the worst case, can never survive scenario, we lose $5 million, right? And we had all plans for all of them. The jury comes back, it was a little off. We lost $40 million, not $5 million. Dave lost $4 million, so $44 million verdict against us, 20 of which was punitive, which means it's never going away. I mean, no matter what we do for the rest of our life, every quarter, every dollar we make, we have to pay a quarter, 50 cents, whatever the law is. And so that was a big blow, huge blow. We found out the verdict. Justin Schulman's brother-in-law called it into us. And we immediately went across the street to our local tavern and ordered a round of beers. And the waitress came up and said, how you guys doing today? And I said, I'm doing great. Everyone looked at me like, what? And I said, I'm doing great. And she's like, why? I'm like, I just found out we're worth $44 million.